You, Lenny.
Hi, this is Lenny Kravitz, and you're watching Good Rockin' Tonight. Peace.
Lenny, plus a chat with the lads in the house. New and very decadent, it's MOTLEY, CRUE, and Roberta to the max, setting the night to music. All that, plus new share, a chat with the odds, and a ton of other things on show number 438 of Good Rockin' Tonight. Evening all, I'm Stu Jeffries. Ton of other things includes a look at the box office top 10, the top 20 CDs and singles, the Necessary Roughness contest winners, and what's new at Rogers Video. Got new share after a look at what's news. This Tuesday marks the 32nd birthday of Bryan Adams, and we wish him nothing but the best. The following day, his first Wembley show. Now catch this. Word has it he will be joined on stage by none other than Slim Whitman, and the two will apparently do their own version of Rosemary. That's the Slim song, which stayed a consecutive 15 weeks at #1 in the UK, a record, of course, broken by Adams's Everything I Do. Prince is apparently dying to do a remake of the musical West Side Story with Madonna as his co-star. Now, Madonna says she'd love to be in West Side Story, play the part of Maria, but wants to pick her own co-star because she doesn't want to stand in the ditch to make Prince look taller. And speaking of Madonna, she's once again in the middle of it, this time in Pakistan. Islamic fundamentalists have called for the government to resign after they invited the Material Girl to perform there. So what's the problem? Well, in Pakistan, female dancing of any kind on stage is very illegal. Now, catch you update on Movie Land. Sean Penn is set to shoot the story of playwright and IRA member Brendan Behan, and I can assure you that Madonna will not be his co-star. And finally, REM's Peter Buck shelled out big bucks for a home alarm system. Was it to prevent theft of his instruments, his scads of money, his awesome record collection? No, Peter was afraid some lout was going to walk off with his plants. Well, you know what they say. To the victor, go the soils. All right, okay, I'm finished. I'll leave this one alone. And via satellite in Toronto, we talk with Nick and Neil at Crowded House. Welcome back to Good Rockin' Tonight.
It's good to be back on Good Rockin' Tonight.
You know, it's one thing Crowded House, in my opinion, have done so well over the years is that you write songs that the listener can sort of take any way they want to, translate it in any way they want to.
Yeah, well, I always think that a little bit of that logic is the enemy of seduction, and a song, for me, works best when I grab onto a couple of lines and I don't really know why. And if I have to listen to the whole song to work out the exact meaning of it, it puts me off, really. So, although some of the songs in this album are fairly clear, I think at any given moment you should be able to prick your ears up at a couple of lines and go, oh yeah, that's great, or that's amusing, or you know, I know what that feels like. That's the prerequisite for a good lyric, and I think, you know, in that sense, obscurity is...
Neil, you're so bloody clever.
No.
Clever.
No. We're trying not... It's not trying to attempt to be clever at all, really. It's just what appears on the page. We're really thankful for what's given, and, you know, I'll go with it, whatever it is. If it makes sense, fine. If it doesn't, fine.
There's always an element of use your imagination when you're listening to your favourite rock music anyway, I figure. It's like we didn't make the mistake, we've never really done this, but when you make a video, if you tend to make a video that is actually really quite literal about the song, it's always the worst video you can make. It's best if your videos have absolutely nothing to do with the song that they're about. Then you leave it up to the imagination of the viewer what the song's about when they're listening to it later on.
And we thank you for that. I agree 100% with that. A large part of the album recorded in Tim's house.
Yeah.
Why there?
Well, it was a whim of Tim's to build a studio in his back room, and it happened to coincide with us getting back from Los Angeles after our first session with Crowded House, and he and I embarking upon what was our duo project, but what became the second half of the Crowded House record. And we had a desire we had been working in the most high-tech studio in LA, A&M, which, although was a great place for gear, was not a good place for human beings, and we wanted a more intimate environment. It made Tim's transition into the band very, very friendly, very intimate, and we had a great sandwich place down the road. It was a bedroom, the studio was actually a bedroom that Paul and Nick had both occupied, not together, separately, I assure you. And so there was a lot of history had gone down in there, a lot of, how do I put the...
Primitive...
love rights.
Yeah.
Had been observed in there, and we managed to get some of it on tape. Videotape.
And that will soon be available at the...
Usual outlets. Rob Lowe Enterprises.
I want to talk to Nick for just a second. An interesting thing for the biography in the new album. You said, Nick, that the way that Crowded House screws up makes you a distinct band. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's basically, that's the best part about being in a band. If a band is real, it's a band that actually has genius from stupidity. It's where genius comes from stupidity. You know, you draw from your limitations, and I think that's the sign of a good band. If a band can make a mistake and make that mistake sound like it was meant to happen.
This is a house band in a club called the Roxy here in Vancouver. The Odds are now making their way across Canada with a brand new album called Neopolitan. And the odds are you're going to be hearing a lot more from these guys. Steve and Doug, welcome to Good Rockin' Tonight.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Hi. You know, in looking at your debut album, Neopolitan, and reading about you, this is very much a group project. Everything from the songwriting to the assistance in the production. Now, is this actually the case, very much a group, or is this a cleverly crafted ploy to fool us, the buying public?
I would say we are a band. We're, you know...
If we thought it was funny, we'd tell you it was a cleverly crafted device, but it's not. It actually, we're one of those bands that, you know, we actually all write songs together in the same room, and you know, where the drum...
It does happen still, doesn't it?
It still happens, where the drummer goes, oh yeah, try this beat, and the bass goes, yeah, do, and it actually happens like that.
Was there any one thing that made you decide to get into the wild and wacky world of rock and roll?
I think part of it is the idea that, you know, in doing music for a living, it makes me feel like life's not a trap, that, you know, I don't have to go do something I hate because that's my lot in life. This is my responsibility, you know. You've just got to do it. That's the way this world is set up.
God, it's fun.
You've got to do jobs you hate. That's just part of the world.
All those people, all of you out there who hate your job, stop it right now. Go buy a guitar and become a musician. Right now. You'll have a lot more fun.
The Odds Neopolitan, your debut album, was recorded right here in Vancouver. Why don't we talk a little about that? What was it like recording your first album?
A lot of fun.
We really enjoyed it. Being self-produced, we avoided. We have some friends in the music industry who've had, you know, debut albums and stuff where the record company said, okay, yeah, here's your list of producers. You pick the one you like, you know, and everybody's saying, okay, yeah, well, maybe we'd like to go this guy. And invariably, their first album has been hell because here you have an artist or a group of artists who've had a vision, they've been working towards it, Along comes some other guy who's traveling on some different vector and says, but I have my vision of your project. I heard your tape and I see it this way. And immediately there's a big crash. We had a lot of fun doing it because we didn't have someone telling us what to do. It was really up to us. We were our own quality control. We made the decisions as to what songs and what order they would be in. You know, we got to decide this is a take, and if, you know, and it wasn't like there was some producer who would say, okay, that's a take, we're going with that, if, you know, you didn't like what you played. If Paul, our drummer, said, okay, everything's great, the guitar's great, the vocal's great, the bass is great, and then Paul listens to his drum part and he says, I don't like what I played. It doesn't matter whether we all like it. If he didn't like it, then we would do it over. Because it's important for all of us that when the record gets out there, that you don't end up hating it every time you hear it, that you hear it and you just always go, God, it could have been so great if only I'd done it right. So, you know, everybody was allowed to have their say.
Priest, it ain't over. Lenny is next. Don't go anywhere, okay? I'll hit you with this thing. Just in the lobby of the Orpheum Theater. As a matter of fact, finally caught up with Lenny Kravitz, and we welcome you to Good Rockin' Tonight. Lenny, you've been through a tumultuous last couple of years. Can you give me a synopsis of what happened and how everything is now?
It's been strange because, you know, this is what I've been doing, you know, and all of a sudden I put a record out, you know, to finally get a record deal and put your record out, and then 2.5 years down the line, all this sort of stuff happening. It's been really strange, you know, just because of all the attention, all the different people around me that are supposed to be, you know, around me, and business people and, you know, contracts, and it's all really boring. I just like to play music, you know.
But unfortunately, that's just such a part of it, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you've got to take care of business or you get ripped off, you know.
I got to congratulate you. Mama said just went platinum here in Canada. All the best.
Yeah.
Just this last week.
It just told me that.
Congratulations.
It's really exciting. Canada was definitely one of the first places that my music was accepted. You know, Let Love Rule went gold here, and that was, you know, that was it.
One of the first things I read about you, Lenny, especially when Let Love Rule was starting to get airplay, was you said State of the Art was 1967.
Well, I just say that because, I mean, it's not necessarily that year, but I mean, the recording gear of that era was far superior to what we have now, I believe. And the proof of that is to pull out your old records. I mean, anything from Jimi Hendrix to Led Zeppelin, or pull out your old Bob Marley, your old soul records, Motown. You know, the sound is just far superior. And it got to a point where the gear started actually changing the approach to the music. And, you know, that's why I use the old equipment, because I think it sounds good.
Do you see yourself as a bit of a pioneer now? Because people seem to start recording, or at least going back to the old days of recording with that raw type sound.
I don't know. I'm definitely, right now at this point, the only person recording that way. I mean, you know, I get a lot of phone calls and people coming to the studio and trying to figure out things. And people are starting to go that direction. I mean, people have been for a while. But I don't think anybody does it as hardcore as I do. I mean, you know, there's not many people left that know how to do it. And even the older guys that made the records then don't know, because at that time it just was what it was. You know, they weren't paying attention to anything special that they thought they might have to come back to, you know, so many years later.
One of the knocks against videos was the fact that it had taken away the intimacy between the listener and the actual record, and yet you've managed to ease into the video vein of things and not lose that intimacy. You aware of that?
I have nothing against videos at all, you know. I just think that today, you know, we're just so locked into this whole visual thing, you know. I think most kids of this era, they see music, they don't listen to music, you know. And that's why you've got people that maybe don't have so much talent getting over because they've got the right image and the right visual effect. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging anybody. Right. You know, everybody's got to do what they've got to do. But I wish that more musicians would get a break. You know, there's so many talented people out there that don't get a break. And then now you get somebody who's got the right hairdo and, you know, a nice chest, and they can do the right dance steps, and they can become a, you know, rock and roll star, whatever. I mean, and that's fine. But I'd like to see more of a balance. I talk to a lot of people that are, you know, 16, 17 years old, and they don't know who Al Green is, or they don't know who Aretha Franklin is, or they don't know who, you know, these certain artists are. You know, they don't know who Cream is, you know, and it's kind of scary, you know, that they're just brought up on the stuff that's coming out now.